Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm Canadian. I'm 18 years old. I do films. I use they, them, their pronouns.
Charlie, they, them, and so forth.
I'm Aiden. I use they, them, theirs pronouns.
I'm Alex. I just go by Alex. I still use she. I'm kind of playing around with pronouns. I used he for like a week, but that felt a little too strong for me, especially with my higher voice. Hi. But sometimes I try they, but right now I stick with she.
I'm Craigie. I am 18. I go to Smith College and that's cool. I like to play music and have cool hair. I use they, them pronouns, or he, him, but usually just they, them.
I'm Charlie, hi! I use gender neutral, as in they. With my close friends, you know, they can use it for me.
I identify as either gender nonconforming or non-binary.
I label myself as gender fluid. So that means that my gender changes, usually day to day. I can be male or female or somewhere in between or nothing at all. And I think I generally lean towards androgynous or male.
I'm not just female. It's definitely a mixture. So I feel like a smoothie, kind of a mix of all different identities. I would like to have an actual label for it. I know it doesn't matter, but to me I think it would be easier for me to explain it to other people.
Polygender? Well, poly means many, but not all. And, you know, as opposed to pangender, I'm sort of gender fluid because sometimes I'm polygender and I'm not always the same polygenders. And sometimes I'm completely agender.
Right now, after basically a lot of reading and stuff, I identify as agender.
I'm gender fluid. Let's say gender is like linear. It's not, but let's say it is. So like male, female. Gender fluid is like being able to like move and stuff. Labels are stupid and it's just the one that fits me the best. Like a pair of pants that obviously doesn't hug your butt the best, but I mean, heck, they still look good.
Mostly just being very confused a lot of the time. Like, feeling that there are really only two choices and that none of them was the right one.
Around 7th grade or 6th grade, I started to realize that my gender as a female does not fit me. I started to fluctuate between the feelings of being a man or a woman, or sometimes I didn't know.
From the day I was born, it's been like, oh, look at her, what a beautiful girl, she.
Gender wasn't really a thing I thought about as a child. I assumed I was a girl because that was what people told me.
One Christmas, I got clips in my stocking, and I was like, ugh. And my parents were like, what's wrong? And I was like, clips are for girls. My mom was like, you're a girl. And I was like, the constant being told that you're a girl, Jordan, sort of like seared itself into my brain.
I didn't really know what it would feel like to feel better.
I'm afraid that being seen could have a negative effect on my employment, although legally it's not supposed to.
Coming out was not pleasant.
So I'm not all that out. It kind of feels like you're pretending to be someone you're not. And it feels like people keep calling you pronouns that aren't yours and keep seeing you as someone who just, it isn't you.
I'm out to a few other people besides my family.
My mom, she came up to me and she was like, Jordan, are you a they? So I was like, ha ha ha, and I ran away. And then I did that 3 more times. And then at dinner, she was like, Jordan, are you a they? And obviously you can't laugh and run away from dinner. So I had to be like, yeah, thanks for outing me, even though I clearly didn't give you an answer 3 times. And the very first thing she said to me was, I hope you know that I'm not going to use those pronouns for you. Like, she didn't say those. She said, I'm not going to use that pronoun for you because it's grammatically incorrect.
First time I came out to my parents, they called me ashamed. They were shocked. My mom was mortified. Second time I came out, my family acted as if it never happened.
At college, I asked people right off the bat to use they, them, because I wasn't up for another 4 years of not having that. So they make assumptions. They don't know exactly what I am necessarily, but they know I'm not a girl and they know to use they, them. So that's that. And that's been great. That is so nice.
Because I was sort of out as being bi a while before that, the people I know are pretty accepting, which is great.
Difficult for the rest of the world. That's like, what is this person doing? Is it a boy or a girl? Well, I'm both. Is that okay? I think it's okay.
They just pretend that I'm still a girl.
My mom, she doesn't really support my gender identity and stuff. I mean, she accepts it, to a point. It's not in her beliefs.
Thing with my dad where he was like, all your friends are girls, you're a girl, there's nothing you can do about it.
They've mostly tried to be supporting and have occasionally done an okay job at it.
When I get to a meeting, I'll be like, hey, can somebody put this tie on? And it feels awesome. But then when I go back home, I change before going back home.
I'm not out to my parents because I don't think they believe in non-binary genders and I don't really want to deal with that.
They try to do the best they can, and it's good that they do that. People have no idea what you're talking about.
People are gonna just see you as a man, or they're gonna see me as a woman. There's no in between, and I only have those two options.
This person who's related to me, my sister, we have grown up almost exactly the same. We look very similar, like really similar. Same house, same parents, same situation, same schools, similar grades, and she has so many more basic rights than me. She can use the bathroom. She can get married in every state. She can feel comfortable in her body purely because she was born with the genitals that matched up with her gender identity.
Not having an option on forms, like government forms and stuff. Always having to choose F, even though I strongly dislike being referred to as a she or a woman in general.
I think the hardest thing is teaching, because I currently teach mostly at the middle school level, but I sub pre-K to 8. The 8th graders have been really rough. My first year was horrible. And they were like, oh, I saw them after school one day and they're like, oh, she's such a faggot. She's so gay.
I don't feel comfortable going into gendered bathrooms.
I'm sure there are students that kind of feel like they're not one or the other too, but they don't really have a role model at school.
As a person who's not really out and who does present in a way that society deems acceptable, I don't face a whole lot of difficulties coming from the outside, but on the inside, sort of, you have the problems of I have dysphoria, so I have issues with how my body looks and stuff like that, and also with how people see me. And it's a struggle when people are calling me she, and it's a struggle when people are thinking I look like a girl. So that sort of thing is what I think are the problems.
If really I had a choice and could live happily as a boy, I think I would.
Sometimes it's there, sometimes it goes.
Some days, because I'm gender fluid, I feel very comfortable in my body. I just no dysphoria. I'm like, yes, I have boobs, it's great. But other days, I just won't want to get up and even if I wear like my favorite shirt and I look completely flat and I feel like I've worked on my voice a lot and like I'm still really short. My hands are really small. My feet are really small.
So dysphoria for me is mostly I don't like my chest, I don't like what it is, and I don't think this is what I'm supposed to have. That's mostly the problem. I have issues with like having hips and things. It's mostly just looking feminine and knowing that when people look at me, they see a girl, no matter how hard I try.
I occasionally experience dysphoria, and it's like just a feeling that my whole body's completely wrong and will in no case ever feel right no matter what I do.
I start to think I have pains in my chest when it's bad. Sometimes I get nausea. Sometimes I just get really bad anxiety being out in public.
Why am I such like a freak? What am I doing?
There was a point where I really didn't like looking at myself in the mirror at all because I had boobs.
Part of it is definitely knowing that people see me as female, but also just knowing that this is the body I have and that it's not always the body I want.
I become a lot more accepting of my body, and the concept of non-binary, I do have these parts, but these parts do not define who I am, and they don't necessarily mean that I am a particular gender.
Cis people will never really get what it's like the first time someone actually uses the right pronouns because they've had people using the right pronouns all their lives. But when you're non-binary and somebody says they or he or whatever works for you, it's the coolest feeling.
Having something that makes you feel comfortable.
I mean, recently my Nana came to visit and I didn't even ask her because she's like really old, so I didn't expect anything from her. And then like apparently my parents told her, and my Nana is like so cool and she used my pronouns, and I was like so pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, this like really old person, and she's better than my parents. She's so cool.
I get the best of the whole spectrum, and that's been pretty cool. It's new, and I'm liking that. I'm getting more comfortable with it.
First of all, I like that I get this sort of community of people who have this sort of similar experience.
Oh, it's fun being part of that community.
I did, talking to the principal, who is unnamed, manage to get genders removed from the substitute list, which is awesome, because why do substitutes need to know what my genitalia are to mark me absent or present?
I can just have fun and play with it.
It just feels more free. You get to be all loosey-goosey.
I can be a boy. I'm the prettiest boy.
There's more than just two.
It's not black and white. There's different shades of gray.
There are a bunch of options, and there are all sorts of things, and there's things in between, and there's things completely outside of it.
It's quite silly to think that there's only two.
People being who they want to be in no way harms you.
You can change how you talk to make somebody you care about feel better.
If you're not feeling like the male-female thing is fitting you, don't worry about it. You're not the only one. If you do feel like the male-female thing is fitting you, don't be a jerkwad to people who don't feel that way.
Please treat us with respect. We're just as human and legitimate and valid as, anybody else.
We're people, we exist.
So just be accepting of people, and even if you don't necessarily understand how it feels, trust that they know what they're doing.